Monica, thank you so much for taking up the time to talk to Strat News Global and Global Compass.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You are talking to us from JNU in New Delhi, and you are researching on gender parity and gender inequality in South Korea. The movement that is going on in South Korea now, the 4B movement, the core essence of that movement, the 4B or the 4 no's, as we know it, is basically total isolation from men, right? And the total isolation till the time there is constructive reform. How significant do you see this movement?
Actually, I really think that before talking about the reforms, it's important for us to understand what is 4B. So basically, 4B and B in 4, it comes from the Korean word P. P means to avoid. So there are four main tenets through this movement, and like four of them, they are no marriage, which is Pihon, no childbearing, which is Pichul San, no dating, P-yone, and no heterosexual sexual relationship, which is P-sex. And as you rightly said, it's complete isolation of men from all aspects of the life. And basically, this movement, it tries to challenge the patriarchal state and pro-natalist policies, which treats women's bodies as baby making machines. And basically, this movement is in response to patriarchy and misogyny, due to, like, for example, increasing cases of femicides, revenge and dating violence, spy cam crimes. And the unfortunate thing is that the punishment is not very severe, and it's usually like fines and suspended jail terms. So
Okay.
through this movement, Korean women, they're trying to just it's like a response to whatever is happening to them, and they actually feel that Korean men, they are beyond redemption. They are done with dealing with Korean men, and through this movement, there is a hope to bring change in the society, but they are not really trying to change the men. They are not trying to change the mentality. They are just sick and tired, and it's like saying, we are not going to deal with you anymore. We are just not going to have babies. And talking
Okay.
about the significant like reforms, basically their demand is to just treat us like human beings, just give us respect. And one of the most important consequences is declining fertility rates in South Korea. And South Korea has become the country having the lowest fertility rate. And in 2020, South Korea achieved death cross, which meant that country faced more deaths than births. So the condition is not very good. And even this Washington's Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation, they projected that South Korea's population, which is currently 51 million, can be halved to 26.8 million by 2100. Another important thing which happened is rise of anti-feminism. Actually, even
Hmm.
before the movement, around 2014 and 2015, there was this misogynistic and anti-feminist community called Ilwe, which grew in size and prominence. And they thought that women were demanding additional rights and privileges when they already benefited by avoiding country's compulsory military. Since 4B is in response to patriarchy, it has already fueled these pre-existing anti-feminist sentiments. And in 2022, like the current President Yoon, during his
Hmm.
election campaigns, he used these anti-feminist sentiments as election strategy to mobilize young men as his key voting bloc. And about 58.7 men in their 20s, they voted for Yoon. And finally he won the election. So it shows there's a gender gap and the gender war which is currently fueling in the Korean society. So
Yes, yes.
these are the two
It
important
seems
things.
like men and women are war with each other. They are men
Yes,
and women are war with each other in this country. Hmm.
yeah, like gender war, you can say that.
This gender war that's going on in South Korea, what kind of a socio-economic impact does it have on the country, or is it likely to have?
uh, Regarding gender war, because of gender war, women I mean, in South Korea, the women population is one of the most educated population in among OECD countries for South Korea. So they
Hmm.
have gained this kind of awareness that something bad is happening to us, and it's like, for example, South Korea economic is one of the most economically advanced countries. It has done so good in like in other sectors, except its social policies, like it's kind of lagging behind in terms of women empowerment. So
Right.
women, they have all the facilities, good education, good infrastructure, job opportunities, but still they cannot avail this. So they are very frustrated with this kind of thing happening in South Korea. And this frustration, it's kind of it has come into this 4B movement. So now
Hmm.
this frustration, and also this actually in South Korea, if you openly say that you are a feminist, you can be attacked. It has happened recently. There is a rise of femicides, like dating violence and revenge kind of crimes that's happening in South Korea.
The first thing that comes to my mind when we talk of a declining fertility rate and women refusing to is human trafficking. That Korean men are now going to get women from other countries just to keep the gene pool going. I mean, it's obviously going to be mixed, but
Yes.
just to keep at least 50% of the DNA going. I mean, that's the first thought that struck me. In your studies, have you come across any such phenomenon which is beginning or already begun?
I won't really say human trafficking. It's not human trafficking, but because South Korea has so many good economic opportunities, so there is a rise of international marriages. So not like, for example, international bride and Korean groom. Even there are marriages taking place between Indian brides and Korean grooms. There's a lot on these days on, like you can see on social media. There's a lot of Instagram pages which they share these kind of stories. But I have come across the news, like for example, from Vietnam, when they marry uh, uh, girls from Vietnam, they suffer a lot of domestic violence
Hmm.
because of this scenario. Like South Korean women, they are not getting married here, so the men, they are getting brides from Southeast Asia. And a lot of times there are news regarding domestic violence or like abandons, all these kind of news you can actually see there.
It's dangerous for society. But okay, moving on to again, not just South Korea, but like we were talking that even Japan has a declining birth rate, and so have you been? Can you give me any perspective on other countries in Asia who are going through something like this, something similar?
Sure. Like, talking about India, I won't say so. First, we have to understand that even before any kind of movement like 4B, a lot of women, they were just generally not having kids or not marrying because first there are more factors such as education, high cost of living. But this,
Yes.
because you are giving option to women, you are making them educated, and now you are expecting them to just sit at home and share, not even share, like just do, it's like a double burden on them.
Yes.
Office work, household chores. So even in India, I have come across cases where women are not getting married, they're not having kids, or delaying their marriage, which is biologically delaying the ability of having kids. But I won't say it's up to that extreme level, because in India we have a very strong family structure. Like there is a family interference or support, you can say. But in Korea, the case is getting like out of hands. Talking
Hmm.
about other countries, China has this movement called 6B40 movement, and actually they got inspired by South Korea's 4B movement. So this 6B refers to same four commandments of 4B, which is in South Korea, as well as not buying sexist products and supporting fellow single women practicing the movement. And the four T's, they refer to rejecting beauty standards, hypersexual depictions of women, religion, and idol culture.
Hmm.
In Japan also, Japan has started to experience a drastically lowered birth rate because of women's reluctance to marry and have children. There is also that
Yes.
isolation trend going on there. And even in America, I just read that the 4B is uh, lit- gradually it's entering America also, where women in generally they have realized like they are just not interested in getting married because too much pressure on them.
Talking of this whole feminist movement, if I may, the World Economic Forum has come out with the gender equality data, and it has said that it'll take 108 years to achieve gender parity. So, in countries where you talked of, increased violence against women and increased inequality in countries like South Korea, how aggressively do the governments or do the states have to work to achieve something like this?
I'll say very quickly, like ASAP, as soon as possible. And the good thing is, or the positive thing is that it can happen. Like we have examples from Nordic countries, and it was found out that Nordic countries like Sweden, they were also facing decline in fertility rates, but later the fertility rates rose with higher women's labor participation, and it was possible because men's increased involvement in household and childcare. If we don't take any step, as you saw like what happened in Me Too movement, it just spread from America, like from Hollywood to the entire other parts of the world. So it may happen, like 4B is already spreading from Korea to China to Japan to America, and you never know, maybe in India we can also see something like that. So I hope everything gets well.
Well, in India, it'll give up too many people many sleepless nights. But
True,
anyway, I
true,
think
true.
that was a very nice perspective that you gave us, and definitely something to think about, something for the governments of those countries to think about, and society to think about. To achieve, because it's not just the government. I mean, the men and women have to partner to achieve any kind of gender equality. But thank you
True.
so much, Tarunika, for taking out the time to talk to us, and I look forward to some kind of positive data coming out of that movement as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.